This is Transparency, a podcast by Gender Dysphoria Alliance, hosted by Aaron Kimberly and Aaron Terrell. Each week we'll be joined by people who have personal or professional experience with gender dysphoria and physical transition. We'll also discuss how our trans experiences relate to the concept of gender identity. Join us for a compassionate yet heterodox approach to the question of trans. Welcome back to Transparency. We're joined today by ShapeShifter. ShapeShifter is a detransitioner we know from Twitter. Maybe detransitioner isn't exactly the correct word for you. You kind of defy kind of all the kind of concepts that we use to talk about this. But yeah, if you'd just like to introduce yourself, we're really glad that you're here.
Right. Hi, guys. So I guess I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate the work you've done because you guys inspired me to come out with my story and be more open and try to raise more awareness, because as I mentioned before we started recording, I was watching one of your videos where it was you guys, Kenneth, and Scott Nugent, and you were having this like 2-hour long conversation that was like insanely good. And I was like, how this doesn't have more views? Like, this is such an important conversation. And I remember, I think it was either Scott or somebody was like, where's all the trans women? Why nobody's speaking out? Like, literally nobody is. And I was like, it's time to speak out. And you kind of inspired me, to speak out. And I do appreciate everything you're doing, on YouTube and trying to gather as much information as possible because it's kind of left up to us, to gather all the right information because it seems like we were really at least I was definitely let down by medical professionals and other people that I know in the trans community. So it's almost like people don't want to do the research. They don't want to put right information out there, or at least better information or more information. There's everything is just so hidden. Nobody talks about anything. I feel like forever all this was in the shadows. People were secretly transitioning and going stealth, and that's what I try to do as well, and that's why I think a lot of data is missing kind of, and that's where we're at right now. I think a lot of people are being hurt and they have already been hurt. And I don't know when this train wreck gonna stop. In terms of the whole detransition thing, I thought a lot about it. Honestly, I don't really clear cut fit into detransition category by old definition. Obviously I was just listening to an interview with Walt Hair, and he was he's more old school, obviously. The traditional detransitioners, they find Jesus, they go all the way back to the other binary from one gender box to another, blah, blah, blah. So it's cute, but one of the realizations I had actually during my trip to Europe, I realized by transitioning, I put myself in another gender box. So I feel if some people feel comfortable to keep on switching between gender boxes, very strict definitions of gender, it's up to them. But I feel to me, I realized that none of the hair or makeup, at no point was I really a woman. So honestly, I don't need to undo any of this to be a man. And that would defeats the whole purpose. I just feel I want to move forward trying to expand the definition of a man as much as I can, as scary as it is, but that's what I would like to do. And I feel I'm more ex-trans. I guess that's a word I recently came up with.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really. I guess technically I went to Europe and I didn't take my testosterone with me because I was I don't need my sex drive in the middle of camping. Everybody's gross and sweaty, whatever. I didn't want to lug a big giant bottle of testosterone. And then towards the end of 2 weeks, I tried to have sex with Catman and I couldn't orgasm, and I was so pissed. It was so frustrating. But then I'm thinking, did I retransition in 2 weeks? What happened? So I just got back on testosterone again as I got back, to Massachusetts. So it's did I just go through a little retransition? I guess I need to talk to Mark and Maritza Cummings, see what they have to say about this. But yeah, I honestly feel the whole transition, detransition, just it doesn't make sense. Like at this point was like, once I picked, I realized like all of this was just bullshit that got sold to me. It's like, it was just body modification, some kind of like plastic surgery. I guess I'm technically a drag queen, I guess, but that's kind of sucks news right now too, with the whole grooming allegations. I guess I'm doing drag full time or something. I don't fucking get. I don't know at this point. None of this shit makes sense. Like, and yeah, I don't even know where I fit in. I realized like, so I got in trouble because I tried to fit in, and I feel like that's where I went wrong. If I just like did me, I would have not like fall into this full transition trap, because even when I transitioned, I tried to be a woman and I thought I was a woman, I was still trapped. I felt like I wanted to do crazier makeup. I wanted to do more makeup. But people I was dating is like, oh, don't do too much makeup. You look like a tranny. Like, it's almost like I got so obsessed with passing, that like I was stifled. Like I couldn't even be over the top because I was like, I have to be more like real woman, It's like, that was so toxic, and it's just like, now I feel finally free in a way because I don't feel I need to pass, like last night I went to a concert in Massachusetts. I know I just came back from a European festival and I went to a concert in Boston. It was just like so different, but I got a chance to like dress up like full on, I guess makeup and hair, and I just didn't care, it's like, but if it was me from a year ago, I would have like not dared to do that because I would feel like everybody will know right away that like I'm a man, or I was born a man, and it would make me like give me more social dysphoria. But now just like I feel so free, so I don't know where I fit in. I guess I will always catch flack. Every day I get messages like, oh, when are you gonna remove your movies? And it's like, well, man can't have boobs. Like all the guys I'm a chub chaser. All the guys I dated, they have titties bigger than mine. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like maybe if we normalize men having movies, maybe some F2Ms wouldn't feel this like desire to remove their breasts. Maybe some of them would just keep them. And one thing actually I want to talk about, because I went to this festival in Europe in Hungary, and it kind of like, people, and it kind of felt like very like, the word I want to use is primal. Like I saw those people wearing different clothes, and there were AGPs running around, there were like literally men in dresses. And I was telling Catman, oh, look, AGPs. And I saw some feminine men. It was just like a bunch of hippies wearing whatever, they were technically all, and there were like butch women with titties out, with small titties out, with shaved heads, and like I could tell like who would have been transitioned had they lived in like across the pond,
Yeah.
Like who would have been
amazing.
It's interesting because Hungary is actually one of our, in terms of like our listeners, Hungary is one of our biggest listeners.
Yeah, because I've heard they're like transphobic and whatnot, and like homophobic because of their new president. And when I went there, people were like tweeting at me, like, be careful, like it's homophobic, transphobic. But I saw gay couples holding hands and lesbian couples holding hands. And I saw AGPs, like, or what we would consider pre-HRT AGPs, but they were just wearing clothes and nobody was paying anybody attention, there were kids running around, like people would have lost their shit. They would have been like, groomers, get the kids out of here, but the kids were just dancing. It's like, I didn't think they were being groomed or like they were in any kind of danger, it just felt like art was everywhere, and it wasn't like in any kind of perverted way, like it's when people take their kids to drag show, at a nightclub. It was just like in an open field, with like flowers and everything. It was just a completely different vibe. And I felt like everybody was so free to express and wear whatever they want without trying to transition, And it was just like, I was like, wow, these people would have definitely been like most likely transitioned if they'd been across the pond. And I just felt like it's kind of very much like USA, Canada, and UK thing in a way, like Northern Europe.
Yeah. It's basically specific to what the whole trans phenomenon does seem to be very specific to Western Europe and North America. So in like Eastern Europe, they're not affected as you're just describing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and I mean, I've been joking about it on Twitter and like, no shade, but I feel like a lot of it started in Canada. It's like literally Canada because you guys started all this like liberal policies, and then it's like sips over to Massachusetts, and then it's like a model state for other liberal states, you know. And I feel like maybe it's gone a little too far, you know. And I feel like people should not be. I understand that when they made it legal to like misgender someone like with pronouncing, I know intentions were good because maybe initially it was to bully someone, but it came to a point where there's a lot of people, it just doesn't feel natural to call them the pronouns that they want to be called. And I feel it's unfair if somebody loses their jobs and go to jail, like literally by effing up, like not even on purpose, you know? It's like, I remember when I met first non-binary person in college, like I was struggled so hard, like to call them they. And like, I felt bad because that person ended up transitioning, you know, and it's like, I don't know how far they took their transition, but like at the time I was like also confused and like it was very difficult. I guess I wonder if that person transitioned because like I couldn't use the right pronouns. But honestly, again, like as I mentioned off camera, like people are now like asking me a lot, what are your pronouns? And I feel like it just doesn't make sense at this point. Whatever feels comfortable for people, that's what they should use. You know, for me trying to enforce, I know I'm a man and I like actually being called he at this point, but I also don't expect people to call me he because sometimes they see me as more feminine, more female. So it will be stupid for me to be a pronoun Nazi, you know, if this word is appropriate to use, you know. I'm literally doing what gender ideology is doing in reverse, you know, and I think we're better than that. And I feel like we don't have time to fight over this. And, you know, it's like, I've gotten hit, you know, like for, you know, when Blair White show calling her she, you know, it's like, I mean, I see Blair as ally. You know, I'm not gonna purposely misgender somebody just to be more extreme. You know, like not misgender, but like if I know it's gonna make somebody uncomfortable, and if it almost feels unnatural to call Blair he, for example, or some other people, and so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna call you she because it kind of feels unnatural. So I'm not gonna do it just to enforce another ideology. You know, and like I don't care like if people get offended at this point. Like I know at some point everybody gonna get offended for some reason. Like I just can't please everyone, you know. And I know there's a lot of, I guess, traction. I don't know, like I'm new to this community. I don't know whether it's friction between bad fans and like some trans men, and it's just like I don't get it. I don't have time for this. I just feel like all right, now we have certain common goals and we're on the same side. And I think maybe we could put aside our differences and like win the fight, at least like the kids not transitioning and like better healthcare for people who think they're trans. And then we can sort out our differences. You know, I just don't think like our pronouns are priority right now. Like it's not gonna like change anything in my situation anymore. Like it's honestly the least of my worries. With all like my back pain right now, it's like everyday reminder of like of my osteoporosis, and it's just like I'm in pain. Like so yeah, every day I have to live the things that I've done to my body. Like pronouns are the least of my worries right now, and it's like breaks my heart. Like apparently Boston's Children's Hospital now like started this promotion. They're advertising surgeries to kids. It's like, and I live in Massachusetts, and I just feel so sad that this is happening. I don't think these people even know what they're advocating for. Like I think they're just trying to be like cool and accepting and progressive and not bigoted. But I feel like as somebody who's been through the system, I just know how dangerous medical transition can be, you know, especially the surgical aspects, but even hormonal, like it's throwing a dart in the dark. You just don't know where you're going to land. That's literally what it is. And I've been completely lied to and misled on so many levels when I medically transitioned. It's just insane. Like, I can't believe this happened to me. And I don't know, people say like I'm intelligent, oh, you're so well spoken, blah blah blah. But it's like I feel like a dumbass. I feel like I got suckered into this so hard. And I fought for this ideologies. People let me walk delusional in society, you know, fighting and promoting like transgenderism and like being like, I'm a woman, la la la, you know, it's like I looked foolish all these years.
Yep, I know what that feels like. I remember doing that. But could you just go like take us back, like when your decision to like what was you know dysphoria like for you as a kid? How did that what were the external influences that made you decide that transitioning was the way to go? And like if you could walk us through that kind of biography.
It's a long ass story, but like I did exhibit like gender non-conforming behavior early on, like, but my parents, you know, they were immediately like telling me, don't do that. You know, I was trying to put like towel around my head, pretending like it's my hair, and like, and my mom was like, oh, don't do that, like your dick will fall off. Like she literally said that, not like a penis, but like whatever people in my language, whatever they tell kids for like your private parts, you know. And flash forward, it came true. But I think looking back, like the reason I rebelled so much and went to like the opposite spectrum of gender is because my parents tried to like butch me up, if that word is correct to use, you know. They tried to masculinize me, but no matter what they did, like it wasn't working. You know, they tried to give me to kung fu classes and all that. They tried to give me to stretching classes so I grow taller, but it just was so traumatic that I guess I think once I got my freedom, I almost like rebelled against that. And I just felt like I will never be a man, you know, or the stereotype of a man. And I just completely went the opposite way. It was just kind of like, fuck you, you know. But honestly, I never felt like that I could be a woman or anything like that till I moved to America, to be honest, actually specifically to Massachusetts, because I did go for a year to school. Actually, I live in more like Eastern Europe, that's even more conservative. But then for like undergraduate, I went to like another country that's a little more liberal, but not as liberal. So I didn't see it. Like we had LGBT Alliance and all that, but T was never part of it, like never heard of it, nothing like that. Like, and then I went to school in North Carolina for a year. Also, like, I mean, people knew I was gay. Like, I had a boyfriend. Everybody knew. Like, I was just like a feminine man. I was kind of goth kid, I guess. I was wearing like chains and like kind of like punk rock, wearing like all black leather, maybe a little eyeliner here and there. But I never like saw it that I was a woman. If anything, I was trying to still be more masculine because I kind of knew like, you know, feminine men are like lower on a totem pole when it comes to dating in a gay scene. I was wondering about that in a lesbian scene, obviously, because I've never was part of it, you know. How does it work? Are feminine women more on demand in the lesbian scene, or like are butch women more on demand? If you don't mind me like asking, because I really don't know. Like, is it like equal?
I'd say it's probably equal. It depends. Like I would say both are equally in demand, but there are feminine lesbians that seek out butch lesbians.
Okay, because in gay scene, for sure, like masculine men that are like straight passing are like the highest on the totem pole, at least for a lot of people. And I think especially like I felt like for me that's how it was, and a lot of those men were hard to come by. They were all taken. But anyways, I was like still had relationships and everything, you know. But then
what year was that when you were going to college?
In North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. That was like 2010 or 9.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was 2008, 9, something like that. Timeline is a little blurry at this point, but yeah, it was like I remember it was after recession, like great financial depression or whatever that was. Yeah.
Okay.
That was 2009 or 2010 or 2008 to 9. So I was there for a year, you know, and like yeah, I was like openly gay, never thought of anything. But when I went to graduate school in Massachusetts, we already like had literally a person, non-binary person. I was like, I was hanging out more with undergraduate kids because I was young, you know, younger than everybody else in graduate school. And so like, obviously like I was like gay kid, you know, and I wanted to find other people like myself, you know. And when I went to, I guess at that point it was LGBT Alliance, and they had like a drag ball, everything, you know, so it was like more liberal state. We already had a non-binary person, we had a person who was walking around on campus with cat ears. They already had bottom surgeries, they had their penis, like everything done with Dr. Meltzer in Arizona, I remember. So to me it seemed like so normal at that point, and immediately I like got this rapid onset of gender dysphoria, you know, like, oh my God, like, I guess I'm a woman too, you know, it's like, and people did ask me like what my pronouns were, because when I came to that club, everybody's like, what are your pronouns? You know, and I was like, obviously more androgynous presenting. And like, that's when I was like, oh my God, like I'm a woman. And I just kind of like did revise my history. And I went back thinking to my childhood, you know, that, I was meant to be a woman, you know. And it's like, but then initially I was happy just being, you know, a traditional trans woman with a penis and whatnot. And my dating pool like increased right away. I got like all these guys, like sea of guys like chasing me. Even was not, I wasn't even that passable, like honestly, like whatever that means, like that's like a sexist word, but I was not that feminized, you know. That's what I'm trying to say. Like I was very early, like my still I had probably like 5 o'clock shadow and whatnot, but people were like living for it. And then yeah, they were. I'm telling you. But then when I started taking hormones, I just like started really getting bottom dysphoria, you know, and it's like I really started getting more sad and depressed. And I attributed a lot of it to like me needing to transition all the way, you know, to complete my transition. I just kind of wanted to move on with my life because as I got more bottom dysphoria, dating was harder because everybody was like, oh my God, does your dick still work? Like, can you fuck me? Like, so it was just like really frustrating because I was feeling more and more like a woman, I guess, whatever that means. But I just was getting bottom dysphoria. But as I did more research, like later on, I realized it's common with some people who take hormones, estrogen, you know. And so yeah, I ended up like really craving the surgery, and like I went and got my letters so easily, and that was the only time I was ever in therapy, because the country where I went, like mental health is not a thing unless like you're actually like full on crazy to the point that you need to be institutionalized, you know.
Mhm.
Other than that, people just live with trauma, abuse, domestic violence, rape, like nothing talked about, you know. And obviously like I had a lot of childhood trauma, like not only being bullied for my femininity and my parents just like not accepting my femininity and always trying to tell me that I'm like not masculine enough and all that. It was just like a whole bunch of other traumas that I didn't even know. Like I kind of like buried it away. But actually, one thing I've learned, actually, the video is coming on my channel. I feel like you can't run away from your trauma, and eventually, like you have to either acknowledge it or try to heal some of it, you know. And I feel like me transitioning was just like really a reaction to a lot of trauma, really. And like I should have never been allowed to have a permanent body modification like that, without tackling a lot of my issues, because I think Tulip or somebody said that like your issues are still there waiting for you after the surgery.
Yeah.
He was so right. Like honestly, like he's so smart too. Like he's so articulate as well, and it's like he's so freaking right, because literally that's what it was. It didn't solve any of my issues. It added more trauma since, because having to go out and date with mutilated genitals, trying to find yourself, because they brainwash you like you're a woman now, yay, but you're like legally a woman. Actually, I was legally a woman before that, so there was like huge diminishing returns from bottom surgery, just like mental health decline totally. And I had all these issues, like I got immediately depressed so bad. I had no energy, no sex drive. I went online, and all the crazy trans community was just telling me, oh, it's supposed to have depression, find some new goals, and like, but it never really went away. And I kind of kept on trying to get revision, but in my head I was like, oh, I'm just gonna fix the situation. I was just unlucky. I kept on having more revisions, but it kept on getting fucked up more and more, to the point where I got like fistula. And then I had to pretty much, like, I was so suicidal, I had to turn to like psychedelics to kind of not to kill myself. And I was like, it's either that. I realized like a lot of the transitions I talked to are being put on high doses of SSRIs post-surgery. And a lot of them didn't even know like that a lot of it was attributed to lack of testosterone, because a lot of us are just men. I mean, if we castrated some of those doctors that visit to me, I want to see what their life will look like, you know, because yeah, honestly, like this is not fun being a man and being castrated, you know. I just realized something never felt right after the surgery, you know, and I realized I definitely went against my original blueprint, and I lost like a decade of my life trying to be something I really wasn't, you know. And I think I was never meant to fit in, you know, and I realized I will always be outlier. I think maybe in a way, like I never had a chance to be in the closet, because being so feminine, everybody right away knew and assumed that I was gay, because I grew up in a very rigid society where I didn't even know till I came to US that like they can be feminine men who are attracted to women, you know, so-called pre-HRT AGP, some of them, you know, where not some of them are not even feminine, but I'm just saying like in my country, like if you're slightly feminine, people already assume you're gay, and I was like super feminine. So I never even had a chance to be in the closet and have that privilege that some gay men have for like being masculine. It's like they selectively can come out to whoever they want to, or not even come out ever. So I never had that opportunity. And like as I was thinking about all the situation, like the last week being away from everything, I realized I kind of put myself back into the closet. Like it was my chance to go into the closet, the whole transition and living style thing. And it was just so toxic to do that. You know, it's like, why the fuck would I do that to myself when I could have just been living out and free, you know? And like, it just such a sad realization, and honestly stifled my creativity. And like, you know, after psychedelics, I had to medicate myself with high doses of cannabis to just like numb myself to all the pain. Actually, like a big video coming up because I was like literally, I wasn't on SRIs, but I was like literally addicted to cannabis, and I didn't even know that until I went to Hungary with zero cannabis because I didn't want to go to jail. And I went through terrible withdrawals, and I was like literally crying, and I just wanted to leave. Then I finally like snapped out of it, and like I'll talk more in details about it like on my channel. But it's like, yeah, I realized like I was numbing so much pain, and like, but thankfully I was able to, you know, do some other things and some other psychedelics, because it is a psychedelic festival, and go deep to my trauma and kind of like face my demons in a way. And it was just a huge band-aid I was putting on for like years, literally. It was like definitely just showed me how much trauma I had that was never tackled by any mental health professionals. And as I was doing video diaries of my experiences, like the last 2 weeks, you know, I did record a little video diary when I did say you have to take healing on your own hands, you know, and sometimes we rely too much on mental health professionals, on the system. And the system is very flawed right now. That's, I know for sure, some changes needs to be made. And whatever we have right now is a whole affirming model, not questioning things too much. That's extremely dangerous, you know. And we need more research if trans is a thing. Like, what is true trans, you know? Because I'm getting like, oh, I'm not true trans, and like I never was, I'm just a cis person, and like now I'm going to make it difficult for trans people, and the gatekeeping going to be high, blah blah blah. But I think we're kind of running in circles. The surgeries were kind of like banned for a while. Apparently there were some like studies at Johns Hopkins that kind of got swept under the rug, you know, where people did discover is that a lot of people, once they had the surgeries, they got very depressed and they were no longer excited about cross-dressing or whatnot. But somehow that never came to light. Nobody talks about that research. But
that was early 2000s, right? I think it was early 2000s,
I don't
mid
really
2000s.
know.
Okay.
But people message me all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, wow. But I knew there was some drama at Johns Hopkins, and then it got shut down, and it was called transphobic. And they kind of revamped everything, and they jumped on a trend, you know. And as I was thinking a lot, I also realized every time I had surgeries, I had all this like, I guess every surgeon that did surgeries on me, they also had all this like new surgeons that were training and observing the surgery. So I was literally a guinea pig. And except for I was paying, my insurance was paying for that shit, or I was paying sometimes out of pocket, I realized just how much like they were literally training the new generations of surgeons to kind of butcher people. And they were so proud of it too. Like, oh, I trained that person, and now this person like also doing surgeries. And like, I remember how like I went to a transgender conference with my ex, who was also a plastic surgeon, and my surgeons that did my first surgery, like he was like telling him, oh, you should get into transgender healthcare. It's so good. Money is amazing, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's just insane, you know. And there's this other surgeon in Pennsylvania that butchered a lot of people, and there was like a class action lawsuit, but that person is still doing surgeries. And the surgeon who did my surgery, he was like, oh, this person is just like all after money, you know. They don't even care about the patient. And I'm like, and then none of those people care about patients, because even my first surgeon, I remember how excited he was. He was like, oh my God, now insurance covers it. And like, we're getting so many patients. And like, it's all about the money. Like, that's what it comes down to. That's what I realized, you know. It's just plastic surgery industry has become very competitive. So it's just kind of hard to make it as average plastic surgeon, I feel like. And that's a huge source of revenue, you know. And I feel like there's really no real standards of care, like in terms of like what is good results for penile inversion or phalloplasty. you know, like literally, like what is, like nobody measures like how much depth you have left after like years down the line, you know, nobody knows. And I said, like earlier people who had all the surgeries, a lot of them were sex workers or like secret AGPs. So they kind of went into the shadow, or they died, or like they kind of disappeared, you know, so we're really missing like a lot of data. And the surgeons won from that because like a lot of people didn't speak out, they either died or just went into the shadows from shame. So it's kind of up to us now to put ourselves on a line and just like get all this hate.
Yeah, I don't know
I
don't know what it takes to shut down some of these surgeons. Like the surgeon that I went to, Dr. Crane in Texas, he has something like 12 or 13 malpractice suits against him in the state of California.
Yeah,
and he's
they're
still
all
practicing.
still working. Yeah, they're still practicing. I mean, there is one person, like as I said, in Pennsylvania, and literally when you go on Reddit, transgender surgeries, that article is pinned, like has been pinned there for months, is talking about that surgeon, like don't go to the surgeon. But practice is still open, and to me that means they have to, I mean, some people are so desperate to get the surgery and they're so brainwashed that they rather have mutilated genitals than what they have right now, that they will go to that surgeon just because it's within network. That's what it has come down to. You know, it's like people are literally being forced to go to bad surgeons just because insurance only covers this particular surgeon because it's a network, which is so effed up. You know, it's like even the way my like letters went, you know, they just gave you letters and they just like didn't. It's up to you kind of to select your surgeon, and then no matter what goes wrong, people are like, well, you went to a back surgeon. And it's like, I mean, I know complications from every surgeon, including the top surgeons. I mean, you guys know some people we know in common that are not out with their stories. You know, it's like, we know it's like popular surgeons that literally like everybody puts them on pedestal, you know, they're like part of WPAS and all that. It's just like, it's almost like these people feel like God, they're unshakable, like nobody can comfort them. And people like sue them. It's not easy to sue people, and it's like I can't really sue the surgeons because they're going to be like, well, fistula was part of expected side effects, you know. It's like, or it's like, I think my best case is just to try to sue mental health professionals who gave me the letters, you know. It's like, I don't like, for boob job and all that, like I didn't need letters, but for that particular surgery, it was a bottom surgery, it's like it was their job to make sure that this was really gender dysphoria and not some other trauma, you know, or not some other issues I was going through at the time. Like,
what did acquiring that letter entail? What did it involve? Like how many appointments? How much time?
Well, honestly, it was just, I think, 12 visits. I remember I literally got like my face done and my breast done in June. I think it was June 2014. And then literally not even a year later, I was already getting my bottom surgery. So to me, that means I only got like less than a year of therapy. And one of the surgeons, the problem was I went to activist hospital, I went to Fenway Health. So like they're literally activist hospital, and one of my therapists was trans, and in the moment I thought, oh, this is great. And also I was so brainwashed, like I was so excited for this, you know, I thought it was going to change my life for the better, you know. And I was like, my biggest fear was not to get the letters, you know. It's like and honestly I was just like didn't think much of it. And all therapy sessions were just me blabbing, you know, but it was never talked about my childhood or anything, you know. It was just like talking about my current life, you know. It was just like I had no doubt in my mind that I was trans, and I was like you know, that the surgery was right for me, you know. And
you were just jumping through the hoop.
Yeah, kind of like, but honestly, there was really no safeguards. They were just going to give me letters no matter what, you know. It's like, and one of the therapists was the same person who was giving me ADHD medication, you know, and so he just didn't even spend that much time with me, kind of like was the head psychiatrist on that team, you know. And I feel like with him, I didn't get as much of a therapy, you know. And it's like, it was just like more like he kind of approved what the other therapist was saying from what I remember. Granted, it was like a few years ago. I don't remember all the details, but I know for sure at the time I didn't know I was possibly bipolar. I'm definitely at least borderline, possibly bipolar. Like, I don't really know. I haven't gotten full-on diagnosis to get on medication, and I'm not sure I will, because I feel like taking Adderall kind of fucked me up as well, because if I never taken Adderall, like I probably would have been better off. I feel like, honestly, I just don't trust pharmacies anymore, but I also know that I have to keep on taking hormones or my osteoporosis will get worse, and that's another thing. Nobody told me I was supposed to be on some kind of hormones. None of my general practitioner, none of the surgeons that did all the revisions over the years. My partner, who's also a plastic surgeon, like we're no longer together, but he was my partner for 2 years up until 2018. Yeah, between 2016 and 2018, he didn't know. He didn't tell me anything. He knew I wasn't taking no hormones. Yeah, so it's like it was just very lackluster healthcare, like they don't know shit. Now that I'm taking testosterone without having my testicles, it's not the same. So I wonder, like, all this time, all these people are taking estrogen and they think that, oh, they feel like woman or like they're having a real female experience. But like I can tell for sure it's not the same. It's definitely feels weird. Sometimes I'm horny, sometimes it just goes away. It's so weird. Like it's not the same. Absolutely not the same. Like I wonder how many F2Ms also taking testosterone and they also think this is the way men feel. Like I really don't know. They're maybe getting a glimpse, but you're not getting a full experience. So now I know that I was never a fully woman. I'll never be, unfortunately. Like, and also I realized like no matter what I do to my body, like I was never going to be accepted by society, and that's a sad reality is that I was not ready for it till I did the full thing, And I feel like it wasn't a way. I was still seeking acceptance. I was still young and like not mature enough to understand that I was never going to get it, And had I known that sooner, I would have never kept on modifying my body, trying to be accepted more and more, as a woman, because at that point, like trans community brainwashed me and they were telling me, oh, people who are like want to interact with your penis, they're like, they don't see you as a real woman, and I was like, well, that's like 95% of people who want to date me. So I felt like the only way for me to kind of to move on to the next level, was to get the surgery. And I did have some kind of like, I do enjoy female presenting. So obviously like I did enjoy feminizing myself, but as I said, it was just very diminishing returns from like bottom surgery because it was just not another plastic surgery. It was a big part of me that I destroyed, I lost my drive to accomplish things. I lost my desires to do anything really. As I've mentioned on some interviews, I've just been dead inside for years. But now also taking testosterone is kind of traumatic without having a penis or at least some kind of like front hole to be penetrated. It's just like hard, and I'm like worried about getting secondhand testosterone gel on like my cats, and Catman has been getting secondhand testosterone, and I feel like I can tell that by like the way dynamics change, and I just feel like he's too pure for this. Like I don't want him to get extra tea. I don't know. So it's like really difficult, but injections like didn't work for me. Patches didn't work for me. But every day I'm a little bit OCD. So I'm like paranoid. What if like testosterone gets on the couch and then my cat lays down, What if like my cats will die from testosterone poisoning, what I'm going to do, you know what I mean? Like it's so difficult. It's like you can't win almost. Moreover, it's so expensive. It's like $125 per month copay for testosterone gel.
Wow.
And it's super messy. Like it's super messy. And if I do go do the implants, I think it's a few $100s and it lasts a few months. Thankfully, like I have money and all that. It's just like, but they're gonna cut me every time in a new place. Just more trauma to the body, more. It's just bad. I don't know what to tell you guys. So I wish I could take all of it back, the whole like hormonal transition. As I mentioned before, having a couple of extra inches on the hips or TDs was just like not worth it, honestly. It wasn't even worth putting implants in, to be honest. Eventually I'm gonna have to have them removed. It's just more surgeries, more bullshit. It's like people like, oh, when are you gonna? I'm like, it's $15,000 to remove implants, and a lot of I don't know if insurance will cover it, and if they do, so we're gonna probably cover crappy surgeons that you don't want to go to. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Yeah.
In retrospective, I should. Yeah, there's no winning. Like
there's no going back, right?
Yeah,
there's no really going back.
Yeah, this is literally irreparable harm. We're not going to use irreversible damage because like it's being copycat. It's irreparable harm because like people like, oh, you can do that, and it's like no, like once you cut your body, that's it. You know what I mean? I honestly wish I could take a lot of it back, and I realized I had body dysmorphia because at no point in my life I felt sexy or comfortable in my body. I still feel ugly most of the time. Sometimes I feel cute and sexy, but most of the time I'm still struggling with self-confidence. It's like it didn't solve any of my issues. That battered kid inside of me never went away. You know what I mean? So it was like it was really a software issue. And it got sold to us. And honestly, like people credit me for that thing, but I think it's Scott who said that first, and I heard it on your talk. So it was kind of like his idea first to kind of like packages that way, and he's like 100% right, you know, like that's what it was. I needed so much more mental help, you know, than I really thought I needed. But when you're in your early 20s, you think you know everything. And like it's also, I didn't comprehend that things could get so bad for me. You kind of feel like you're going to be fine, now you'll figure it out and everything's going to be fine. And it's just like you never know that like things may not be fine and you may fuck up your life, you know. So, and I think one thing for sure is sexuality is fluid, you know what I mean? It's like I never thought I would have like sexual desires I have now, especially being back on T. You know, I never thought I would want to, you know, use my penis or be a top. But now, like, I realize I want to do all those things, and I will never be able to. Like, strap on is just not the same. And yeah, I don't know. It's like I'm still in a new phase of figuring out my new sexuality and everything I've been through. And it's also, I guess, living as a woman or whatever, or being perceived as a woman by some gave me this new like view of things, you know, that I would have not gotten otherwise as well. So now I have to incorporate that knowledge as well into the new self, you know. I just, grass is not greener on the other side, and all the things women go through. Like I think it was I can't pronounce her name. The Scottish woman, Watson. I can't pronounce her first name.
Sinead.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to say it because I knew I was gonna butcher it up. She was like, if men knew like what being a woman feels like, they would never transition, and vice versa. So I totally agree with that. And honestly, like after I got this like whatever female experience got sold to me, and I was like, I want a refund, and I can't get my years back. I can't get like my orgasms back. I can't get shit back. You know what I mean? I definitely got cooped. And yeah, it's like there's definitely advantages to being a man and a woman. And yeah, and hormones are uncharted territory. There's just like we really don't know how it affects the whole thing, you know, and like messing with it even for a few months can really like mess you up mentally. Like it's not a joke, you know. And I didn't know there were so many benefits with testosterone. I had literally like controlled substance. My balls were naturally producing, and I just like gave it away.
What has the reception been like for you since you started speaking publicly?
Honestly, I've gotten some hate. I mean, I was raised Muslim. I'm getting a lot of letters from Christians. Everybody wants me to be Christian, you know, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just feel like it's going to be swapping one ideology for another. Every day I get letters about eunuchs and Bible. Like, so I have a strong Christian following, and they're like hoping that I'll become Christian because that's the finale they want for me, you know, kind of serves them like world hair fantasy. But I just feel like we need diversity in detransitioners. I feel like we already have like a whole bunch of detransitioners who became hardcore Christians, and all of a sudden they're not gay anymore and all that. Like, yay, like cute, you know what I mean? It's like, so I feel like I just don't feel connection to like Jesus. And I just like, I know what it's like to be brainwashed by ideology. So it's like, I don't want to get caught up in another one. You know, I feel like you can still feel connection to higher power without subscribing to any specific ideology. But I still appreciate all my Christian following. And I feel like at least they want me. A Muslim community didn't even give a fuck about me. They were like, you should have stayed Muslim, see what happened to you. You turn your back on Allah, you know, like please people, you know, it's like, yeah, so. And I mean, CRAs, of course, are just saying that I was never real trans, but I've gotten a lot of love and support. And like, I've gotten so many emails and comments that I haven't, it's been like positive, and people kind of rallied again around me. So the hate that I get, like I immediately get kind of protection. People immediately like defend me, you know, and a lot of people get me like, that I don't want to cut off my hair. I don't want to like stop wearing makeup because makeup and hair makes me happy. Why would I stop doing that? You know what I mean? Some people cut their hair like tulip, and people are still telling him that he looks like a lesbian or tomboy. You know what I mean? It's like, people look the ways they look, you know what I mean? You're not gonna be able to please everyone. The whole pronouncing, looking, I'm just done caring, you know. And I think even going to like Azora, to a festival in Hungary, I just kind of feel even more like I don't give a fuck, you know. I feel even more creative with makeup. I want to start doing even crazier makeup. I guess again, as I said, I never got a chance to fully express myself artistically, and I think that's what I really wanted to do, you know. But I just felt like for me to do that, I had to be a woman, you know. Being a drag queen or something like that never crossed my mind. Plus, I'm kind of shy. I could have never like been performing on stage, you know, or going to clubs. I was never like too much into drinking or going to clubs, you know. So I never kind of got caught up in that scene, you know. I was kind of raised online because I was like shy kid, you know. And I think that's why I got caught up in like transgenderism before like drag became more popular, you know. And I think it's a fucked up part that I was like trying to differentiate myself like from drag queens. I'm like, I'm a woman, and I'm like, I realized I'm probably just like, but even what drag doesn't even mean, that doesn't even make sense either. It's just makeup on clothes, you know what I mean? It's like a sexist stereotypes. You know, it's like none of this shit makes sense. I guess I can tell that I enjoy wearing hair and makeup and it makes me happy. And I'm just gonna keep on doing me, you know. I'm done trying to conform what society expects me to conform to, you know. And everybody who tells me I should remove my titties, like wire me $15,000. Like, you know what I mean? It's like don't demand me. Like I want to reduce my breasts because my back hurts, you know. And I always had small titties, so I want to remove them and have smaller titties. But like, and eventually I'll have to do it because my back hurts, you know. But it's expensive, you know, and it's like recession is here. Like people, we're talking about detrans, but we're like in a recession. Like, we forgot about that. Like,
in this economy.
Yeah, like I don't have $15,000 laying around. Like, so I mean, I could, but it's like it's a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's like so, if I had OnlyFans, maybe I would have had the 15,000. But
I think the people telling you to remove your breasts don't want you to do that either.
Yeah, I think it's just like they're not coming from a good place.
So, do you think if you had encountered that the Planchardian typology, the HSTS, AGP kind of motivators for male to female transition, do you think having that reality would have like kind of like, oh, I'm not a woman, you know, like this is not a dream worth pursuing?
I mean, at least I would have probably understood myself better and where my desires are coming from. I think it's so important, and I feel like it may not be a perfect typology. I'm sure there is. It's not as black and white. Nothing is black and white. I already know that. Like, and seeing things as in black and white is super dangerous. I'm sure there's some mix. Maybe like there are some people who are HSTS, but maybe I don't know. I just know that I was more excited. Like, I guess maybe it was just my original blueprint that made me more excited about fashion. I remember how I was excited to pick outfits every day. I don't think I was necessarily turned on by cross-dressing, but I was definitely excited to pick an outfit. I think I was just a happier person in general. Like, yes, I had my struggles, but I think a lot of it was just due to tough childhood and all that, you know, that even normal people would have had they grown up in my family, you know, in my situation. And it's like, I attributed a lot to like having a dick or being, you know, trans, I thought, you know, but I felt like I was happier before surgery, you know? So yeah.
What was the realization like when you kind of snapped out of it? When did that happen, or like what around what time frame was it, and what was the kind of mental deprogramming that went on?
It was I went through a heartbreak. Like I lost one of my partners, and I was in a lot of emotional pain. And it's kind of, I think I fell in love like with two people, and I think it was my deepest love, you know, so far. And I've never experienced anything like that. And I felt like that heartbreak made me realize that like if I had my testosterone, I would have not been so hurt, you know. And oh shit, it's like so emotional to talk about. I was off testosterone for 2 weeks, so I was not supposed to. Well, I guess in my videos I was like crying or something. So it's normal. Like if it's a ShapeShifter video, you're probably gonna see me cry or something like that. Anyways, but like I think after I went through that heartbreak, and then I broke up with Catman too for a while, and I was just by myself, you know. And it was like first time I was like, because I'm borderline, I was like attached to people easily, and I'm like going from one relationship to another because I don't want to be alone. And I kind of felt alone, you know, first time in a while, and I just didn't have any like energy to date or try to even put myself out there anymore. And I was just like thinking about things, and I just realized like oh my God, like how fucked up my life has become ever since I had the surgery, you know? Had I still had my dick, I would have just been jerking up on OnlyFans, like every other trans girl, you know? No, literally, I mean, that's what it has come down to. Everybody is a porn star, jerks up on OnlyFans, and model. Like, 'cause that's what we have right now. And I would have not been getting attached to people and like falling in love, having my heart broken, you know? I would have moved on so freaking quick. Not everyone wouldn't think twice about it. And I just realized how much I put myself through, like, and I just started rejecting the idea of being a woman. And it's just like I just couldn't do it out. I couldn't like do it anymore, you know, trying to pass and trying to fit the stereotype of woman. And I came out to my family as non-binary. I was like, what the fuck that even means, you know? When I made up with Catman, I was like, you know what, I'm non-binary. And I was like, he actually lost a bet to me. We're like joking about the whole non-binary thing. And I was like, if you lose this bet, or maybe it was like a chess match, he lost anyway. It was like a bet. And I was like, if you lose it, you're gonna come out as non-binary. You're gonna send email to all your employees and say you're citizen, which he did. And then I just was like rejecting the whole, I was like hating trans commuters, how much they lied to me, you know. I realized how the surgeons were very unethical. There were a few things that went down between me and my first surgeon that I don't want to talk about, and I don't want to talk about it because I don't really have any proof. But what happened should have not happened. And yeah, so it's like I also just realized how much more trauma, like all this process induced upon me by surgeons and by medical system, by men that I dated, you know. And I just realized all this just added more trauma on top of my trauma. In a way, I attracted more of my childhood again into my life, you know. And so yeah, I just realized that all this was bullshit. And then I started doing more research, and I started watching your channel, and I started watching other detransitioners. A few years ago, I was actually joking with a friend of mine. I was like, are you going to detransition? Like, look at these detransitioners, ha ha ha. You know, it's like, I never ever thought I would be detransitioning. You know, it was just like, I don't know. So it was just like hard. It's like almost like my reality shifted. And I felt like for many months I was waking up in the morning and I just didn't want to be part of this reality because I felt so like, I just don't know. I felt like I was living this night. I mean, I still kind of do. I'm in a bad emotional state right now, but it was just like long-term adjusting that, oh my God, like I've been living a lie. And yeah, it was not an easy process. And I went through, when I posted that video that kind of was like taking off, I was just really going through with it, but I felt like my life was coming to an end, like, because that's how I felt. Like I felt like I had nothing to lose, and that's why I was so open about everything. You know, I was like, what else can happen? Like I feel like gender ideology took everything from me, kind of. So they took away my family, they isolated me. You know, they took away my friends. So this transition costed me so much. I just felt like I had nothing to lose. And that's why like I went all out. I just wanted to like put this message out so other people just take care and take precautions because things are not what they seem, you know. And sometimes you may feel like people have your best interests and they're trying to help you, but they actually, I felt so let down by my therapist. You know, certain people I trusted, you know, certain people I opened up to, and they completely didn't help me at all. Yeah. So it was difficult, but I'm just lucky because like I have like partner in my life, you know. I'm like, it's honestly his love that gave me like strength because I knew like he loves me no matter what, and we have like this connection that's like transcends body and gender, sex, whatever. So I felt like I already kind of found it, you know. So that kind of gave me strength to speak out. I just didn't give a fuck anymore. So, and I think it's kind of, I say that without detransitioners, when like you're at your bottom, there's only one way to go, is up, you know. And yeah, so that's how it all happened. And I'm still kind of adjusting to new reality, and it's difficult because, as I said, I'm feeling reverse gender dysphoria because now when people call me sometimes like ma'am or something, I just so cringe. Or people's like, oh, you're such a pretty girl, and I'm like cringing inside. It's like, ugh, you know, I don't want everyone to be called girl or whatever. You know, it's like it's cringe, you know. But I also understand that some people, it takes them a while to get adjusted, you know. And it's like, and I don't know, like I'm just taking it one day at a time. And I may never give you the full like F to M back to M moments, that people expect in traditional sense. But I'm still going to be a part of gender critical community. I guess maybe I'm more closer to you guys in terms of like where I fit in the spectrum of gender critical and being detrans situation. Maybe I'm closer to people like Blair White, and it's like, but regardless, I'm okay with being where I'm at, and I don't need to fit anywhere strictly, and initially I got some flag, from the trans community, the trans males. They were saying that I'm doing all this for attention, I'm just like a decoy. But then they accepted me, and they were saying that, I can still have long hair and wear makeup, it doesn't matter. And there's other the trans, I guess, men that are still have long hair, but they're not as known because one of them is Spanish, so they have like a Spanish YouTube, and they literally look like, I guess, more like me, and they're trans, I guess, but they don't get as much attention because it's in Spanish. Somehow I got more attention.
I actually wonder if you'll help some people in their journey, like if other people are unhappy with their transition and they feel like they have to give up all of it, like if they enjoy makeup and
Right.
The clothing that they're wearing, if they feel like they have to give up all of that and everything that they love about their transition, as well as the things that they don't like about their transition, if that actually keeps people where they're at and prevents them from taking the step that might make them happier.
Yeah, for sure. I've gotten a lot of emails from people who also said they resonate with me, and they're just feminine men, and they also felt like they had to transition and fit in so they could get regular jobs. They didn't want to like escort or do OnlyFans and all that, because that's what it has come down to, because we're still being discriminated against, for jobs and stuff. So that's why a lot of people literally feel forced into transitioning so that they can fit in and not be like singled out or put in a certain box as a sexual object, and now they realize that they also damage their body by trying to do that, and they absolutely, I want to represent the trans people that just want to drop trans label and do whatever. If they don't want to be a part of trans community, they don't have to, they have something to fall back upon, or if they want to be a more like conservative trans person or whatnot, and just don't want to carry trans label till the rest of their lives, they don't have to, I mean, detrans just really doesn't mean anything either. It's just like transition. So
right.
It's just words, literally. I mean, I was just joking with Catman that like literally wasn't on testosterone for 2 weeks. I literally transitioned. I can see how like I like certain music now, like more, I guess, calmer music and all that, I'm just like changed again. So I'm like, did I retransition? So it's like none of this makes sense, and it's like, I don't know, it's like the whole drag scene, how like RuPaul didn't want trans women doing drag, now trans women are doing drag, now drag is for everyone. So they literally destroyed the definition of drag as well. Like that doesn't mean anything at all at this point. So I can't even say that I'm a full-time drag queen because that doesn't really mean anything. So I'm just a person, with long hair and makeup, that's all. Like, and I just happen to have like a history of shifting, my shape, and that's it, And I don't know, I just enjoyed, I wish I discovered hippie community sooner, like psychedelic community. I wish I went to festivals sooner. I lived like a regular society sooner. I saw alternative lifestyle instead of like being stuck in the society, trying to fit in, trying to fit these rigid gender norms, and I literally like, I was feminist worst nightmare. I literally wanted to be a bimbo, and I wanted to like get married and just like have a white picket fence fantasy, it was just like literally a nightmare. Like perpetuating stereotypes. And I think you tweeted or somebody tweeted that like you said like sometimes like I'm literally what a man thinks women should look like and act like, and it's kind of true, you know what I mean? And it's like transphobic says that, but I am a stereotype like of certain type of a woman, I guess, and I guess I'm a man's definition, average man's definition of a woman, so, and that's what it is, and like, and I had some interviews with people who are not part of like trans and detrans, like you still look like a woman to us. Like I'm like, well, I'm a stereotype of a certain type of a woman, I'm not like yeah, it's like it's hard to explain that to people, I guess I wanted to be like liked by as many people as I could have been liked, that's why I guess I look like this, but then now I'm like honestly, you will see some of my new makeup and my new videos. Like I just want to do some crazier makeup because I want people to know from like miles away that I'm not a normal woman. Because as I was talking to Kendall Penny, she's like a friend of mine. Like it's a never, when you're passable, it's a never-ending coming out party. You know, it's not fun. It's not fucking fun. You know what I mean? It's like you're gonna get rejected 95% of time. People will hit on you, they'll be nice to you, and if you tell them you're a man, they immediately like want to kill you or just want to run away from you, and it's very uncomfortable feeling. So it's almost like it's a curse being, I guess, passable sometimes, you know, and it's like I just got tired of it. It's like my goal became my nightmare in a way. I don't know how else to explain it, you know. It's like, and yeah, Kendall was right. It is like a never-ending coming out story. Like, and that's why, and it felt really liberating to be out online and open. On one hand, it's scary. It kind of feels scary because what if, like, I feel like I will never be able to live stealth again. I will never be able to have privacy. My story is out and about. But honestly, again, my family and my partners just give me strength, you know, to be myself right now, and they're like support me no matter what, you know. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Not all of the terms are radical. Some of those people are legit concerned for what's happening. You know, they can see that some of us are mentally vulnerable and susceptible people, like I was, you know, and like it's very easy to get caught up in something that makes you feel good temporarily, takes things too far, you know. Yeah, so there has to be, like Tulip said in his recent interview, like there is no like, we're not saying don't drive on the highway, but there has to be some kind of like guidelines, you know what I mean? Or people are gonna crash and die, you know, that's what's happening now. And that's what Tulip said with his recent interview. I'm like, oh my God, he said it so well, like 100% agree. Like, so yeah, we need some kind of better navigation system than what we have right now. And it's very, very urgent. Like, I can't even stress that enough, but I think you guys know that too. But we're not being heard. I don't know, like mainstream media just ignores us. So sad.
Thank you so much for being here with us today and doing what you're doing. This is yeah.
I'd really been looking forward to meeting you, so I appreciate that you came on.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's really special to me as well. Anyway, thank you guys for everything. You guys are lovely, and I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Transparency Podcast. If you enjoy our content, please help out our algorithm by hitting like or subscribe. If you'd like to make a donation, follow the link to our PayPal account. On behalf of the Gender Dysphoria Alliance, thanks for your support.